Hi there, this is Laura with Mom Envy, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use the pen tool with the xTool M1 Ultra. One of the great things about the xTool M1 Ultra is that it actually has two different carriage spots to be able to use two different tools at once. So on this left hand side here, I'm going to be placing the pen tool, but I'm going to add this additional second carriage on the right hand side so that I can put in a cutting blade. So I'm just going to go ahead and slip it into place. And then once I slip it into place, I need to make sure I push it down tightly and then flip the little lever over. And then I'll just pop off this cap and I can place the blade inside. So first we're going to install the pen into the pen holder. You're going to take off the cap. I'm just using one of the xTool pens, but you can use any other brand that does fit. But I'm just going to use the xTool ones that came with the machine for me today. You're going to take your pen without the cap on and you're going to slip it into the pen tool holder just like this. Next, you're going to take the little door off of the front of the left-hand side carriage, and I need to pop out my cutting blade that I already had in there. So I'm going to take this out, and it's actually really easy to stick it in. You just have to make sure you get it in correctly. So you're just going to kind of push it in place, hold it down with one hand, and then on the left-hand side, you need to push in that little lever. Now, you have to make sure that it really lines up well, or as you can see here, it doesn't actually close. So I had to put mine up a little bit further, and then it very easily snapped into place. Now I'm going to install my cutting blade on the right-hand side carriage. It does come with two different types of blade with this machine, so you need to make sure you're using the correct one. This fine point blade, as you can see, is kind of shorter and stubbier, because that one is meant to go on the left-hand carriage. The right-hand one is a tall, skinny one. Oh, let me put the cap back on the left-hand side over top. Don't forget to always put your cap back on. But so these blades go in really simply. I'm going to just open up the little lever and you need to put it in and make sure that, see that arrow that you can kind of see there? You want to make sure that the arrow that is on your actual cutting blade also matches up with that. You're going to push it into place very carefully. As you can see, I was struggling a little bit because I didn't want to poke myself. Then you're going to push to hold that down while you use your other hand to close the lever on the side there. And then again, you're going to replace the cap that goes on. And that's it. Believe it or not, now we are ready to draw and then cut. So for today's project, I'm going to start with something really simple, which is just going to be drawing and then cutting out a tag. And so to do that, we are going to just use some white cardstock, which I'm just going to place on side of my blue sticky mat. I'm going to put it at the very top left-hand corner, and I'm going to just press it down to make sure it really adheres itself. So let me go ahead now and show you how we design our design on the actual program. Go ahead and set this up for using the pen tool and then cutting. Over here on the right-hand side in your panel, you're going to need to scroll down to multi-module processing because we are using two different things at the same time. So now I'm going to go ahead and add some text. I'm just going to do a simple happy birthday. I've already tested the pen tool just to see how it works. So I do know that for me, I'm going to be doing, because the pens are so thin. If you saw when I put the pen in, it's like a fine point Sharpie, which means we really need to work with single line fonts. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this Worry Lines single line font, and I'm going to highlight this, and over here on the right hand side we're going to say that we are doing the drawing pen. I'm going to say that it is a blue pen. We're going to do line drawing, not color fill, because of how thin it is. And then for my settings, I'm going to do a speed. I'm actually going to go as fast as it'll go. And the reason why I'm doing that is because the longer the pen sits on the paper, the darker it's going to draw, because more pigment is going to set in, which I don't want. I don't want this to be using a ton of ink. So I tested it at 300 speed, which you'll be able to see when I go to show you. I actually have it already drawn on the same piece of paper at 300. I'm going to test at 400 and see how it handles, and it'll go much faster, and I bet it'll look just as good. So the next thing we need to do is to add what we will be cutting. So over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to click my image, and I'm just going to do a simple gift tag. On the right-hand side, instead of laser, I'm going to go down to cutting blade. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to, on here, I'm going to do a cut of 90 and a speed of 60. And now I know that I have to bring this over here because I already have my other tag spot. And I need to shrink down my letters. Now this is a really simple design because I'm testing this. If I were to be giving this as an actual gift, I would probably spend more time doing more to the design, but this is just for a quick test. I'm going to highlight both of these, go over to my right-hand panel, and I'm going to make sure they're aligned horizontally in the center. And I'm just going to move this down. And I'm going to move it over to make sure that it completely clears my other tag that I have. Now my paper doesn't go all the way to the end, so let's do it about here. Okay, so now we are ready to go ahead and process this. I have done the pen tool, but I have not done the dual process. So this is our pen tool. This is our cut tool. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to click the process button. As you can see, it is showing me that I'm going to be doing the basic carriage for the pen, and then I'm going to be doing the cut. So over on here, I'm going to show you. As you can see, there is my first pen tool done. And I'm going to go ahead and click start on my computer. It is beeped. We're going to go ahead and push the button. It has brought just the pen down and is going to go ahead and draw our happy birthday. And then I will show you when we're ready for step 2. So I actually missed step 2 of the cutting because it turns out when you're doing a 2-step thing with the multi-module, it actually goes ahead and does the second step after it does the first step. And I got busy working on another project while my machine was next to me and honestly missed the end of it. But let's go ahead and see how it cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove my mat, and then I'm going to go ahead and actually peel the mat off of the cardstock because that actually helps with with curling up. So there you go. As you can see, it cut perfectly and it also wrote our happy birthday. So let's go ahead and test out another pen drawing project. One of the great options for using the pen tool is to design envelopes, especially if you're doing something like a wedding or a baby shower or a wedding shower and you want it to look like it is handwritten. So I'm going to go ahead and just do an example of an envelope. I'm going to just do Mrs. Smith. I'm going to do the address separate from the name because I'm going to use 2 different fonts. And I'm going to use single line fonts. The reason single line fonts are great for the pen tool is because unlike a standard font, like you see here below, this will give you an outline, whereas the single line font is one line, meaning there is only one path that that pen will take when it is drawing. So let's change this one too. Okay, so now I'm going to just make sure I get a design that I like. Let's center these. So I'm going to highlight both. In my right panel, I'm going to go under design and I'm going to do horizontal align center. Move this up slightly, and I do like how that M just gently dips in between the 8 and the C. All right, so I like this design. So let's go ahead and get our envelope set up in our machine. And then we're going to size this to fit on our envelope. This is what our envelope looks like inside. I've just put it in the very top left of my mat. And I do have switched back to my pen tool and I'm using a black pen. So as again, it's nice and easy to put in and I can just make sure I put my cap back on. But I'm gonna go ahead and do a screen share using the app so that way I can see what's inside of my machine on the screen. Okay, so now I need to capture what is inside of my machine. So I'm going to click shoot background and then I'm gonna open the app on my phone. I will click Send to Computer, which will have me scan this QR code. And then there we go. Now we have our envelope. We can see what is inside of our machine. And I can size this the way that I'd like. So this is definitely too big. So we're going to shrink it down. And then I'm going to group this. So I'm going to just right click and say group. And I'm going to insert a rectangle, which is going to be the size of my envelope. And over here on the right hand side, I'm going to click, see this linking thing next to the inches? That's going to unlock my aspect ratio so I can resize this to any size I'd like. And now what I'm going to do is highlight both the rectangle and the address. And over on the right hand panel, I'm going to go to our align. And I'm going to say to align horizontally. And I'm going to align vertically. So now it is nice and centered on my envelope. I'm going to erase my rectangle. So now I need to do my settings. So I'm going to highlight my address and then I'm going to click Easy Set Panel. And I know that I'm going to do my speed the fastest it'll go because I do not want it to be super saturated. And I can keep my pen pressure exactly as it is. These pens have a lot of ink and work really well, so I really don't need to make it press any harder or make it go slow. Then once we've done that, in the upper right hand corner, we're going to click Process. And I'll show you over on the machine what it looks like. So we are ready to draw, so I'm going to click Start on my computer. And then I'm going to click Start on my machine. The pen will drop down and it will begin to draw. I will show you the final product once it is all done. Here's our finished envelope, and I will say for sure this looks like it is handwritten versus printing. So I think for envelopes for something like a special occasion, this is a really great option to use the pen tool versus just printing onto an envelope. Now let's get to our next project. Was a really fun little drawing project, so I want to go ahead and do another one. I'm going to really quick just do another canvas, and I'm going to do a bookmark. So I need to shoot the background because it's really important that I do the size. So I'm going to click Shoot Background, and I will click Yes, Obtain Background. Then I'm going to open up the app on my phone where I will take a picture of what is inside of my screen. And I'll click Send to Computer and scan the QR code. All right, and this is what it looks like inside of my machine right now. And so I'm going to go ahead and just do a really simple design. I'm going to click up here, the image. And I have saved a couple different designs. I'm thinking I'm just going to do, I've got like a bunch of different little flowers, and I'm thinking I'm just going to do a really simple flower. Okay, so I'm going to click Open to this SVG, and I'm going to say yes to scale it. And I don't want to do all of this, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click and then click Ungroup, and I'm going to delete all of these. I'm going to delete this one, and I'm just going to do this pretty little design. I'm going to shrink it down. And now again, I'm going to do the rectangle tool just to make sure everything is centered. Over on the right hand side, again, I'm going to click the little link to unlock our aspect ratio. Now I'm not worried as much about centering it up and down from the entire thing, but I'm going to do it from the tassel, where the tassel goes in. So then I'm on the right hand panel, going to click Align, and I'm actually just going to click Align Center. It'll do both directions, and then I'm going to erase this rectangle, and now I'm going to click Process. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click Start on my computer. I'm going to click Start on our machine now. It's going to go ahead and draw the design. I am not going to show you the entire thing because it is projected to take quite a while for this design because it is a little bit more intricate, but I'm going to let it do its thing. So this is what our finished bookmark looks like. I'm going to go ahead now and start another fun drawing project. So first I'm going to go on the right hand side and go down to pen drawing, and then we're going to click shoot background so we can get a picture of what is going on inside of our machine. So again, I'm going to open up the app on my phone and I will scan the QR code to transfer it over to the computer. All right, it has now done a screen capture of what is inside. All right, so we're gonna just do something super simple. So let's just go over here into our left-hand side, click on image, and I downloaded just a bunch of different options for pens. So we could just do one of these really easy happy birthdays. So I think I'm just gonna do this really simple happy birthday. So I'm gonna click open, and then I need to shrink it down. So these are all single line files on our happy birthday again, and we're gonna change our speed all the way up to 400 and keep our pen pressure at 35 as a test. We're gonna click process, and then I'm going to click start on my computer, and then I will press the start button on the machine. Now we're all ready to start. I'm going to push the start button, and it is going to begin drawing. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up and show you what it looks like at the end. This is our completed tag, and I think that it looks great. For our next project, we are going to do another project where we are using the multi-module feature. On this right-hand panel, underneath where it says processing, we are going to go down and select multi-module processing because we're going to be doing both cutting and drawing. In the upper left-hand side, we are going to go ahead and get our first image. We are going to be making cute little crayon holder little thank you notes for a birthday party. Now these are going to be pretty generic because I just want to do this as an example. You've seen probably people do these for Valentine's Day. And so we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to select my crown holder base, which I have for free on my website, and I will link to that below. It's just an SVG file that you can use and put any of your own designs on top of it. And it is set up to use with a standard crown as long as you do not change the size of this. Okay, so we're going to keep the size the same like I said. And now we need to do our settings so it's not all purple. It's easier to work with. So on the right hand panel, we're going to go down to cut, but as you can see is set to laser module. I don't need to do the laser module, even though it can cut paper. I'm going to be using my cutting blade. For my settings, I need to click my easy set panel, and for my machine and the paper that I've been using, it has worked well to do a cut pressure of 175 and a speed of 300. I'm also now going to select all of this and right click and change my color to red because everything that I cut, I always do with red. It just tells me that that's going to be an item that is being cut. But next we need to have our design. So in the upper left hand side, I'm going to click image, and my son loves these little vans. So I'm just going to pick, I found these really cute little vans. So I'm just going to pick this one right here. And these are just off of Creative Fabrica. And you know what? I'm going to keep it exactly as it is. I could say like a cute little line of like thank you or something, but in reality this is supposed to be for kids to color, so I would rather just keep it like it is. I'm going to right click, make everything purple because it's just a different color, and then I'm going to group this. And we are going to now position it here over on our card. All right, now I need to do my settings for this. So I'm going to select it. And on the right hand side, we're going to go down to drawing pen. I will be using a black pen. And for my settings, I'm going to make my speed as fast as it'll go. And my pen pressure is set to 35. I've not had to change my pen pressure because everything I've done so far, that pen pressure has actually worked really well. But you may find that you need a different type of pressure for the pen that you're using. Maybe the ink is running low. But for me, this setting has worked really well so far. And because I don't need this to be super dark, I'm going to have it go as fast as it can because the longer the pen sits on the paper, again, the darker it will be, because it'll have more time to get the ink onto the paper. So like, think about whenever you take a pen, if you like a marker and you sit it down on top of something and you just kind of push down and the ink continues to absorb into the paper. We don't want that to happen. So we're just going to do a speed of 400 to make it as fast as possible. We are all ready to process this. So I'm going to go ahead and show you now what it looks like inside of our machine. So this is what it looks like in our machine. We have our black pen on the left side. I'm going to go ahead and put its cap back on, its cover, and then we have our cutting blade on the right side. All right, so you will see that my process button has moved down to the bottom right hand side. When I went to actually turn on my machine to do this, it did a force update, and when it did change the program a little bit. So if your program looks like mine, you will find that the processing button's in the bottom right hand corner, or if it looks like the version I was using before, it'll be in the upper right hand corner. So it just kind of depends on what program version you are using. So we are ready to go ahead and send this over. Everything's in place. So I'm going to click Go to Process. It is going to show us a preview of what everything looks like. And everything looks good to go. So we're going to go ahead and click the Start button. And I will show you what it looks like over in the machine. All right, so we're ready to hit the Start button. We're going to push the button on the front, and the pen is going to come down and begin to do its drawing. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. Okay, the pen is done, and so now it will begin to cut. You'll see I didn't have to do anything. It starts cutting on its own without me even having to press start. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up also. All right, it is all done. So I'm going to take it off the mat and show you what it looks like. So this is what our finished design looks like, and so now it's ready for me to fold these up and add 2 different color crayons. For our very last project with our pen tool today, I'm going to try out a couple different things. Number one, I'm going to be using not just one pen, but 3 different pen colors in this project. And then I also want to see what happens if I use the foil, because I think it's going to be a little trickier to do the foil with this, because the foil and the pen, I need to probably do the foil first and then the pen. So I want to see what order the machine does it in. So on the left hand side, we're going to click our image. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to be doing this Christmas tree. I downloaded it again from Creative Fabrica, which is one of my favorite places to get files from because it does save me so much money. I'm going to right click and go down to Ungroup. I'm going to highlight this and delete it. And now here's what my design looks like. So for here, we are going to be drawing this. Then our star I'm going to do with our foil tip. And then down here, we're going to do with a different color of drawing. And then I'm also going to write Merry Christmas. So I'm going to try to do this all in one, and let's see what happens. On the right hand side, we are going to go down to multi-module processing. We're going to select our star and do that first because that is what I would like to do first. We're going to go down to our foil transfer tip and select that for our star. Our tip type is going to be just the standard tip. And now over here on the right hand side, it says the Easy Set panel. We're going to click on this. And we already actually have right here, if you see under my user defined, I've already saved my foil cardstock. And so that's when I've done foil and cardstock. So I'm going to select that. And we did a pressure of 360 and 30, and that worked really well. Now we're going to select our tree. And for this, we're going to, on the right hand side, change our setting to drawing pen. And we're going to be using the color green. Now we're going to select our stump. Now I don't have a brown pen, but that's okay. We're going to test using with black. So on the right hand side, we're going to go down to drawing pen, and it is selected as black. We're going to leave it as black. Oh, and we need to change our settings. We keep our pen pressure the same, our speed to 400. Let's do that with our green as well. Okay, and then now we're going to add just a simple Merry Christmas. I'm going to highlight the whole thing, and over here under our text, we're going to change this to a single line font. So I'm going to type in single to bring up all of my single line fonts. And I'm probably just going to go with this first script font that I have. And we're going to make it a little bit bigger. All right, and for our color, now we need our settings. So on the right hand side where it says laser module, we are going to click drawing pen. And this time I'm going to go with, click on here, and I'm going to go to red. And then we need to change our settings. Our speed needs to go all the way to 400. So we're going to have 3 different color pens, and then we're also going to use the star. So the next thing we need to do is to actually place this correctly onto our paper, because this is going to be folded into a card. And so we need to shoot our background to see what is inside of our M1 Ultra. All right, so you may notice that my screen looks a little bit different. That is because in the time that I created this and then I actually turned on my machine, it forced me to update it. So my program does look a little bit different now, but that's okay. Over on the right-hand side, now we need to get our snapshot preview, which is where it says obtain background. So we're going to click that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the app on my phone and show you what it looks like there. Okay, so first you're going to click to open up the app. Then in the bottom, you're going to click the plus sign, and we are going to say New Project. Then in the bottom left-hand side, you're going to click the little camera and say Snapshot Preview. You're going to click Got It. It'll give you the reminder. You want to make sure that you have all 4 of your circles inside of your screen, and then you're going to click your Snapshot button. And then you're going to click your Send to Computer. So we're going to take it over to the computer, and we're going to scan that QR code, and then it will appear onto our computer. All right, so it is now sent it over. So now we're going to highlight this, and we're definitely going to shrink it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a rectangle, and I'm going to make a box. On the right-hand side, I'm going to get rid of my holding my constraints right here where it says lock aspect ratio, just so I can make sure this is the correct size. So now I have this, but now I need to cut this in half. So right now it says 10.9, which would be about the same size, standard size, of course, of a piece of paper. It's slightly off, and that's okay. So we're going to make sure that it's divided in half. So it's just going to be 5.45. We're going to click return. And now this can be moved over as far right as possible. And we're going to align it with the right edge of our paper. And now I'm going to select all of this. And I want to make sure I get it centered. So if I just drag it over, as you can see, it's showing me that it's centered with that rectangle. And now I'm going to delete this rectangle because I don't want it to do anything. I don't want it to cut or draw it. And we are ready to create our card. So we're going to see what color it tells us to put in first, or if we're going to do the gold foil first. I'm not sure. I would think that we're going to color first, but let's find out. So in the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to click Go to Process. Okay, so as you can see, I have my green marker in place, and then I also have my foil tip. Again, it's really important that this arrow is faced the same direction as the arrow on our foil tip. And there's our paper, and we're ready to get started. All right, so now we have our green pen in. I'm going to go ahead and click Start. We're going to press Start on our machine. Our green pen is going to go and draw our tree. Okay, we're going to go ahead and speed up this. Okay, it's gone back in place, and now it is telling me that I'm ready for my next step. So for our next step, we're going to click Next. And now it's asking me to put in my black pen, so I'm going to do that. Okay, our black pen is in. We're going to click Start. Okay, we're going to go ahead and click Start on our machine. Okay, that was a super fast task. Now we're going to click Next. And now we're going to change it to our red pen, and our foil transfer tip is already in there. Now I'm not sure if it's going to go ahead and begin to do the foil transfer tip right after it does the pen drawing. So I went ahead and put my foil transfer on, and I just used washi tape to make sure it doesn't mess up the rest of my card. And since it's nowhere near where the Merry Christmas is, it should work out really well. So we're going to find out what happens. Next, we're going to click Start on our computer. Everything is good to go. We're going to push Start on our M1 Ultra. It's going to first draw the Merry Christmas. Okay, it's going to go ahead and do the foil tip, and I don't know if it's going to give us, nope, it's going to go right into it. All right, let's see the finished product. So this is what our finished card looks like. Honestly, the gold is hard to even tell. It doesn't do it justice. Let me see when I get it out if I can get a better photo of it. Here's a better example of what it looks like complete. And that's our last project. Thanks for joining us today.